So you've always dreamt about having a Mark 1 VR6 lowered, but then you look around at other Mark 1 VR6s and you're noticing they're probably all stock ride height, a little bit lowered, but usually if they are lowered, the oil pan is less than an inch off the ground. And it's a lot of work to get these cars to be low with the VR6 in it. So you could put the R32 oil pump in, but they're so expensive, but you're gonna do it anyways. You're gonna do the short end oil pan, and you're still not gonna be satisfied with your ride height, just like me. So what can you do to make your VR6 sit low, still look good, and not have a tremendous amount of axle bind? Because once you lower these cars, the axle bind gets really bad. So the only thing left to do is raise the motor, but it's not as easy as a Mark II or a Mark III. It's actually quite a bit of work. So in this episode, I'm gonna show you what I've done to raise the motor up in my Mark 1 VR6.
We're sitting at 11.2 degrees, which is really not that good. This is our main concern axle because it's the shorter axle. I think we could get about 1.25 inches before it would touch the top of the hood. I thought we were gonna have clearance issues over here, but actually it looks like we'll have clearance issues up top.
Pulling the headers off. A couple of them just are tough to get, so.
So this is a WRD mount. This is a cool company back in the day. I don't know if they're still open or not, but this mount isn't going to work. It's not gonna line up how the Eurowise mount mounts up. It's just too far to the left. So I'll have to cut it. I'm gonna cut it anyways, but I have to make it slide this way. So I don't know what I'm gonna do to make that work better, but I guess only cutting it up and figuring out is the only way to go. I'm gonna also box it in because I don't like that it's just an L. I would rather it be like a C channel. I'm doing some real hokey poke stuff right here, just kind of test fit and stuff. But this is the old motor mount, and how the hole on for the through bolt here for the training mount is just on the inside of this metal plate, and that's where the right side of the training bolts go through, slide through side. So same, this is that metal plate right here. You can't really see it in camera, but I don't want to move the camera because it might fall over. And to lower this 1.25 inches, we need it to be right around in here, right where we need it. If that makes, it's really hard to show you guys on the camera, so I only put one bolt in this thing, but that's about where she's gonna be sitting at. I ended up using the Eurowise mount, the Eurowise like engine mount inside of my homemade WRD cut up WRD mount for an old 1.8T project that I had years ago. So pretty much straight, really happy with that. And then I got this level and I'm pretty like just really happy. So that's just the transmission side. So I'm really happy with that. I got to do the motor mount side. So super rough draft, but this is basically where I'll be cutting. And the old motor mount circle was up here where the actual rubber mount would be. So dropping it down 1.25 inches is now here. I'll also be bracing it up and down on the side. Did all this cutting just to find out that Eurowise didn't use the motor mount tubing to make their motor mount, so I can't use their rubber unless I use a transmission mount here. So this is the Mark 1 motor mount, and I don't have a trainee side mount, so I measured it with the zip tie. That is the length of this circle. Now I already started cutting this, but if you start with I'm just using the zip tie as like a length measuring tool. You start it here and end it here, and you cut out this amount, and then I push these two together in hopes that this still stays like as a circle. I should have the same diameter hole pipe that I would need. We're kind of experimenting here because I don't think it's gonna work, but I figured I'd give it a try because I don't have this mount, so let's make it. Quick measurement. Pretty cool. I was about to drive like 45 minutes to go get a training mount to cut up and just made it myself. So feels good. Got the tools, might as well give it a go, you know? This is a like knockoff, like no name brand motor mount here, and I'm going to try to just
keep that degree, the angle here, the same. So I just made sure my vise was level, and now we're gonna clamp this thing on here and just make sure this is pretty centered, just straight on here. We got 5.4 right around in there. 5.5 I think will be great for a degree, so that the VR6 is tilted a bit. Just want to make sure I'm doing everything the right way here. So I noticed on the back of the block, there's this piece that kind of protrudes a little bit. So get it in here. This guy right here. So I'm gonna need to kind of cut around that in the motor mount. All right, guys, so we got the piece here. But this is where that circle is gonna sit, and I was trying to figure out how I was gonna clamp it on, and I thought it would be a good idea to drill out the motor mount holes, and then I could try to get some like needle nose pliers in there to hold it, to clamp it to this piece of steel. So I think that's gonna be what I'm gonna do here. So put it in, clamp it, and it's good. Now my, this curve doesn't exactly match this curve, but we're doing the best we can here. I'm just gonna fill the top piece in with a little bit of weld, but I just needed this piece right here to be the absolute bottom of this circle to make sure I know that it is exactly 1.25 inches lowered. So this was way up here before, and now we're raising the motor up. So this would be fixed. This is where the car's motor mount is chilling, and then this is where it used to be, and now we're raising the motor up, and now we'll weld it here. So pretty cool. I'm excited to continue on. I noticed on the other motor mount, this was pretty much flush at the bottom, and it was kicked over just a little bit. And now we got this boy, we need that at 5.5, so that's sitting real nice. So I made a little gusset here. All right, guys, not bad, not the best. We're out here just having some fun. So I'm gonna give this a quick wire wheel, hose her down with some paint, probably not let it dry enough, and then put it in. 2 out of 4 motor mounts are all done. Not bad. Pretty happy with this. I'm still kind of tilting the tranny up because otherwise it sags back like a lot. So gotta get this pretty good. This motor mount right here is level, and with that just about a 5-degree angle. So that's looking really good. The clearance here is as you would expect. But I do need to make a tranny mount, because that's kind of one thing that was really making this really rock back and forth a lot, is no tranny mount in this car. Tomorrow I'm going to be messing around with the front motor mount. Again, I don't know if I'm going to cut up the Eurowise one because they're way too expensive to cut up. So I'll probably just make my own and then sell this set. So that'll be a pretty easy one to make anyway. So got some angle iron. It's 3/16. It's not a 1/4 inch, but I think we'll be just fine. I'm gonna brace it pretty well. I'm gonna start making this front motor mount, and just trying to get that all measured out. Again, 1.25 inches shorter, higher. So let's get going. All right, we got these guys all welded in. Just one last piece of the puzzle, the centerpiece. That's where the actual motor mount goes. These holes aren't exact, they're kind of like, you kind of put them where they need to be, because not every car is exactly the same. So they kind of like, give you some room for error. So these have a little bit of room for error. They're just not like 100% perfect looking, but they'll do. I think this is gonna work. So is what we did is we shortened this here, as you guys remember, from top to bottom, we shortened it 1.25 inches this way.
And you guys are wondering, I got my finger basically, I was sanding something in my new belt sander, and the piece of aluminum kind of shot out and slapped my finger and slapped the skin off so bad that the bone was sticking out. It basically banana peeled my finger, and I am dealing with that. So it kind of sucks doing all this because it's a tender boy. But it's been like 2 weeks, so it's looking pretty good. But still. Anyways, first coat, we're gonna hit it one more time. Guys, I gotta let some bugs fly into that wet paint, and then I'll probably install it tomorrow when it's all dry and everything. But it feels pretty good. I got both the sides done and the front is done, just needs to be installed. And then with the front, I'll know that with that tilt and everything's kind of set up in the front, because like you guys have been seeing, I've been having to jack that transmission up to get the angle that I need. So with the front motor mount, that'll basically pull the engine down in the front and lock it in place like how it was before. Just now with it being 1.25 inches higher than it used to be. So tomorrow I'll install that. I'll film all that stuff for you guys. I really should have measured all my motor mounts, but it's kind of a lot of measurements and probably kind of boring for you guys. Basically all the swap kit sets are pretty much the same. I have a few sets here and I kind of use them for a little bit for reference. I didn't do an exact, copy of the ones that I had, but they're really all the same. You can't not make them the same. They have to be somewhat similar to each other. So like the Eurowise one and the WRD one, like the bolt holes that go through the transmission, they're the same, and then the height wise where the mount goes into the car, it's the same. So with stuff like that, it's pretty much all the same. All you're doing is just literally cutting 1.25 inches out of the mounts that are originally in there. But I guess I'm saying that without knowing how the back of the transmission mount is going to go. So once I figure all that stuff out, I'll be able to, have everything all kind of tidied up. But one thing that I do need to do is notch the, for the axles. It's weird doing this backwards. I have to notch the axles into the car, so when I hit a bump, the axles don't hit the body of the car. So I'll be notching those, as well as installing the front motor mount, installing the rear transmission mount on the next episode. And then I also have to do the headers too. The headers are going to be, again, lengthened 1.25 inches. And then I got to do some pie cuts on those, and then a V-band on those, which I'm kind of happy about doing the V-band, because the Eurowise V-band, I got this header used, but it didn't come with the other half of the V-band. So all the V-bands that I got didn't match the V-band for the Eurowise header, and I didn't want to cut the Eurowise header, so I just kind of squashed them together, and it held, so that was good. But it wasn't a perfect fit. So I'm excited to be able to use my V-bands for the new header. Anyways, that'll be all on the next episode, in hopes that I can pump these things out a little bit quicker for you guys. I know I keep saying that I want to do them faster, but it's tough when it takes a lot longer to do all this stuff and record all of it and make it look fun and make it short and make it, not boring. And I know this is already boring for you guys, but it's trying my best to not make it boring. So thanks for watching. If you guys like these videos, thanks. I really appreciate them, man. Appreciate you guys. And thanks for subscribing. We're at 2K, baby. So excited about that. See you in the next one, guys.